One match day remaining in the 2023 SheBelieves Cup. The United States will play their finale against Brazil on Wednesday, February 22nd. It's kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern. This one for all the marbles. So let's take a look at the standings right now. We've got the United States in first place with 6 points, but they've also got a 3-goal differential in this one. Canada in second place with their 3 points, the tiebreaker with goal differential currently at 0. Japan, with their loss to Brazil, falling into third place with 3 points and a -1 goal differential, and Japan in fourth place with a -2 goal differential and 0 points. So effectively out of contention to win the SheBelieves Cup, but they also have 1 game remaining as well against Canada. So a number of things would have to happen to sort of knock off the United States from winning their home tournament. They would have to lose against Brazil, and Brazil would have to beat them by about 4 to 5 goals to make things up. And they would need Japan to defeat Canada as well, while Canada would need the favor from Brazil and also defeat Japan by a slew of goals. So
there's a lot of moving parts. That's basically what I'm understanding.
Yeah, and I tried my best to lay that out there in terms of setting up the final stage for everyone. But in terms of United States versus Brazil, we have another 2 teams that have long histories against each other, have typically played in more recent history some wild matches. I mean, we're talking about SheBelieves Cups and Tournament of Nations, as Brazil has participated in some of these competitions in the United States. They have provided some pretty fun fixtures, we'll just say, between these 2 teams. But these 2 teams going up against each other after already having 2 games played in SheBelieves Cup, yeah. I think you've got a lot of footage. I think you've got a lot of minutes in between to where this is already kind of setting up the possibility of having another classic kind of fun, what can happen type of game between these 2 teams.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of excitement around this one, and the way the SheBelieves tournament is set up as this round robin tournament, the United States will play the later game against Brazil. So some results may already be a little bit determined. I know you talked about like how many different factors there are for who will raise the cup, but still not possible, right? Like if Brazil comes down to it and ends up beating the United States in this late game, a lot can happen. But this is a very, very big matchup. And I think that when you look at the past 2 SheBelieves Cup matches for either side, the Americans and the Brazilians, there's been steps, there's been growth, and there's been progress, right? We saw from Brazil, we saw them not start as strong against Japan, not come out as fast as they could. And then they make some tactical changes in the second half, opening up a little bit more of their offensive threats and giving them more space on the field against a Japanese side that allows them to attack and continue to move forward in those roles. Then we see Brazil against a Canadian side that struggles on set pieces. Frankly, that was the biggest thing on clearances because Canada had opportunities and Brazil just couldn't execute on the clearances. Brazil also had a lot of chances. They got in behind Canada's back line and couldn't finish their chances. Some good goalkeeping by Kaylin Sheridan, but also some tough moments offensively for Brazil. So we saw a lot of different pieces from this Brazilian side. And I think likewise with the United States, they came out really fast against Canada and they did not come out fast against Japan. And that was an emphasis for Vlatko Andonovski on this U.S. side. Coming into this game against Brazil, the Americans need to start fast. They need to start quick, start fast, get shots on, force Brazil to defend in the opening 5 minutes, put on a high counter press, make it really difficult for Brazil to build out of the back. Those are some of the questions that I'm looking at for the United States. Can they impose their game on the Brazilians? Because we did not see that at all against Japan for the United States. And I think a little bit comes down to personnel too. We saw 5 changes for the Americans in the second game against Japan. And how is that going to look against Brazil in this third match?
I'm curious about the personnel as
Yep.
well. We're looking back on these two matches going into the final match day. There are multiple players now who have got consecutive starts, and I'm with you 100%. I want to see the United States show us some of what they presented to Canada in that first match. You want to get out there, get on the front foot, hit the pedal to the metal, and just go, go, go. Right? They started out quick and they never looked back against Canada. Are we going to see that against Brazil? Is there enough in the tank to see that against Brazil on a final match day? That's where my thought process is, because there's a number of players now that we can look at for match day 1 and match day 2 that have had consecutive starts. We talked about Lindsay Herrera in that midfield. We talked about Ashley Sanchez. We haven't talked about Mallory Swanson getting 2 consecutive starts in this tournament, playing extended minutes. Are we going to see the same from her? Lynn Williams and Trinity Rodman kind of switching off as in that extra winger role. Whereas in the first match against Canada, Rodman was tasked with the start and got extended minutes. And then against Japan, it was a little bit of the reverse for Lynn Williams. Alex Morgan with 2 consecutive starts in a game like this. Is Rose Lavelle's availability going to change for this game against Brazil? Hearing Andonovski talk about sort of the muscle strain that was, picked up in training by Lavelle, that she was available in full training ahead of Japan, but she was going to be on a game day decision, that they were not going to risk a player if they felt that injury was a possibility. And we didn't see Rose Lavelle for a second consecutive game. So do you just say, okay, you're good to go, and now you get Brazil? Like, there's a number of things that I'm looking at. So I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, dude. I want to see that quick counter press. We want to see them double up. What's left in the tank at this point?
Yeah, I agree. I think that some of the questions do fall around a player like Rose Lavelle. If she's back, do you even play her at this point? Like, I think yes. I think yes. Maybe not a start, but she would rotate in, get some minutes. But also, if she's only 60%, it's not worth it to injure a player like Rose Lavelle. So unless she was maybe 90% in Nashville before the Japan game, and now after more days rest, more days recovery, more day training, you can say Rose is now at 100%, and she has been at 100% for a few days. That's when we'll see her. No other time. I'm not sure so much in terms of like rotation, what we're going to see, because how much is left in the tank? Like, sure, that can be a question of this, but also I think it doesn't matter so much, because this team is preparing for the World Cup, and you're going to have to play back-to-back games. And you asked about Mallory Swanson. She's the only U.S. player to have started every game so far in 2023.
She's got all the goals in SheBelieves Cup. Who else is going to score for you if they don't start her?
I agree completely. I think Swanson gets the start. You don't, unless something happens, right? Unless there's a little bit of soreness or fatigue in the muscles. But frankly, no. I think what we've seen from Swanson over the last 2 years is that she has grown into be a professional in every sense of the word, and that means taking care of her body from the inside on the outside. I think that we do see a start from Swanson. I do. I also don't think that we got to see enough of Lynn Williams against Japan. I just think that the way the game unfolded, when Lynn Williams wasn't utilized as best as she could have been, which was maybe a detriment to herself. And some people would say, hey, we didn't even, Sandra, you and I didn't even talk about Lynn Williams in the Japan game. We didn't talk about Alex Morgan. We only talked about Swanson because she scored the goal, but we didn't talk about them. But I don't think it has to do with the lack of their skill, their effort, or what. It was just kind of the way the game was unfolding. And frankly, it was a big result of the midfield in the match for the United States against Japan, because they weren't able to get the ball to Lynn Williams. So that's something that I'm struggling with. Like, I think I do want to see Lynn Williams get more minutes in this game. I think we'll see Dunn again in the back line. I think maybe we could see a start from Sonnet. I do, just because he's given her 45 minutes in both games, but second 45s, does he give her a first 45, see how she starts the game? That's something that I'm looking at right there.
You know what? I would love to see it. I would love to see Emily Swanson get her first 45 minutes against Brazil and what that looks like.
I think it would be a test. I think it would answer a lot of questions, and we need questions answered at this point.
Yes, I'm with you. I would love to see Emily Swanson get a
Sink or
first
swim.
45 against the Caroline or
Yes,
against the
yes,
Dina.
that's what I wanna see. You know Emily Fox is gonna be fine defensively against them. Honestly,
Yeah. Fox,
you
one of
are.
those players with 2 consecutive starts, right? At this
You
point.
know that Fox is gonna be fine. Expose yourself. Give Sonnet a run 45 minutes, and if she gets destroyed, then you know what you're working with.
We've seen another position that we've seen rotation, and we saw Listener get that first game against Canada in goal. We saw Casey Murphy get a clean sheet against Japan. There's a third game here. There's a third goalkeeper on this roster. Do we see Adriana Franch get a game in this one? And is it going to be against Brazil?
I want to see AD Franch get 90 minutes. I don't think we will.
Yeah, same here. I couldn't. Yeah, same here. Same preface. It's like,
honestly, I think we might see Casey Murphy again.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think the idea behind that, if the idea behind that is like, we see you as our number 2 going into the World Cup. Granted, when you're building a World Cup roster, they're going to take 3 goalkeepers, right?
Yeah.
They always take 3 goalkeepers.
Right.
But in terms of, sort of having those conversations with your 3 goalkeepers that you intend to take to the World Cup and how you want them to stay mentally ready, you're having a certain type of conversation, maybe with somebody like Casey Murphy. So I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I'm with you in that I really want to see Franch get a game. And
I do too.
But wouldn't be surprised if it's given to Murphy at this point, just for more reps against a team with a different style.
And she played so well against Japan, right? She's coming off of a high. Can she keep that up? Right now, it comes down to a little bit of the consistency question for Murphy, right? You saw she did it against Japan. She had a great game, made 2 massive saves for the United States. I think she will get the start. I want to see Franch, but I think that the way it's going, I think we'll see Murphy.
Some narrow score lines for these 2 teams in previous SheBelieves Cup. I think it was a 1-0. It was a 1-0 scoreline in 2019 against Brazil, and then in 2021 it was a 2-0 scoreline between these 2 teams. The United States both on the winners column in that one. And maybe let's close it out with a prediction. Do you think this is going to end a certain kind of way? Who's your pick? What's your scoreline?
I think the Americans are going to win. I think they'll win this game against Brazil, and the entirety of the SheBelieves Cup, end up lifting the trophy at the end. But in terms of a score line, I think I'm going to go 2-1 Americans. I think that with the defensive structure, I just think that Brazil is going to look to get a goal, and that they might. Right? I think we might see more minutes from Marta as well. Yeah. She's been subbed in the 60th minute mark in the first 2 games. Maybe we see her at the 45-minute mark at this point.
Yeah, listen, I went with a 3-1 scoreline against Japan, and Japan has struggled themselves, right? We're talking about, even though they looked really good in the attack, multiple shots, total shots, but only a second consecutive game for Japan with only 1 attempt on target. So with Brazil, that's a little bit different. Not only are they getting their shots off, they're getting some on goal.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the rotations in this one, but I want to see some goals in this one. So I don't know if it's going to be a high flying goal scoring affair, but I do think the United States are going to come out with a win. And I went 3-1 for Japan. I'm going to keep that for this one as well. I'd like to see a 3-1 in this one. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think it's more realistic to have 0.
So if Swanson has scored all of the goals in SheBelieves Cup so far for the United States, she's on a 5-game scoring streak, and you want 3 goals from the Americans. How many is Swanson scoring?
I'm going to say she gets 2 and Lynn Williams gets 1.
I love that. I think we could. 2 for Swanson is like on par.
Yeah.
Easy money.
You like it. I love it. But that's all we've got for everyone today.